Hi, horse friends. Cheryl McNamee here with Silvio, my 7-year-old BLM American Mustang. This is session 3, and I've started out in time lapse straight out the gate because I'm not doing any active training here. What I'm doing is I came in here with my dinner and I wanted to just kind of sit and chill and eat and let him observe me. I'm observing him. I'm just letting him get comfortable with me and comfortable with feeling that I'm not just going to be pushing him around the pen or doing things with him all the time. And I've also brought some things out with me because in session 1 and 2, I noticed that every little thing, the GoPro and the whip and things like that that are just kind of, laying around in the pen with me, he wants to investigate those. He's got like a really curious nature. And so I brought a few new things out. I have right in front of me a carrot, a Redmond rock, which is just kind of like a natural salt rock for him. I brought out a towel because that will be something that I'll use to desensitize him before putting other things, on him, such as saddle pads and, saddle and stuff. So here he's going to check it out and investigate it. That towel has a lot of smells on it. It came out of my truck and it was in there since last summer, and it's just one of those towels that you just kind of leave in there. And when the seats get hot, you sit on it. When the kids spill something, you wipe it up. And he's probably like, "What the heck is this thing?" when he sniffs it. So now I just grabbed a halter and dropped it on the ground over there for him to investigate. And I'm just going to go off and clean the barn. I love how he looked at me like, "Oh, is she gone?" Good, she's gone. What is this that I've been wanting to go investigate? And so this is where Silvio discovers a carrot for the first time. And he gives it a try. And he gobbles the whole thing up. And he just loves it. And this is a good thing because I really want to do more positive reinforcement with him than I have in the past. And in order to do positive reinforcement, you have to have some sort of paycheck so that when they give you the right answer to what you're asking, you can give them a paycheck, which is basically, a food treat or scratches, something pleasant that motivates them to want to do that same action again for you. So here I came out of the barn. He got a little bit freaked out because I looked straight at him, and all of a sudden he realized that he wasn't paying attention to me. And so I just asked him to kind of turn around and face me, and then that was enough for me, and I walked away. So now he's a little bit calmed down. So here I'm just getting ready to start a little bit more active training with him. What I've done up until now, I would call passive training, where I'm just kind of exposing him to me in his pen, and I'm not really asking him to do anything. And here, I'm just waiting because he's still kind of investigating some things. So I'm just being patient with him. He's finding some little bits of hay that are still kind of laying on the ground there. And I think I realize here that I left the gate to the barn open, so I walk over there to close it. And that way, when I'm working with him, he can't just go disappear into the barn. With the gate closed, he can't even get in there. So it just keeps him out here with me. And I only need to do this for the first, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 sessions. that I closed the gate here. After that, he was pretty cool about, just listening to me every time I asked him to face up and not really wanting to run away from me anymore. So after that, I no longer had to close up the gate there. So here I just asked him to face up to me. And then when he did, I just stopped moving and just kind of stood there with him. He's lowered his head a little bit. He's relaxing. You could see his ears are moving around though, so he's not frozen. He's just um, standing still there. He's still kind of bobbing his head at me. Sometimes he still stomps, and that's part sass and it's also part, hey, lady, I'm a little uncomfortable with that. Don't come closer. And so when he does that, I usually just stay where I'm at until he's comfortable and he stops doing that. And then once he's comfortable, then I'll come a couple inches closer again. And now just to test whether or not his attention is really on me, I'm starting to walk more towards his shoulder instead of being perfectly head on. And what I want him to do when I do that is to kind of swing his hip away from me and stay facing me. So when I walk in a semicircle around him, he did a little bunny hop there. And then he faced up again. I told him he's a good boy. And then I just kind of relaxed for a second. I do a lot of big audible sighs when I'm working with him. So he gets a little bit worked up and then he stops and looks at me and kind of switches into his left brain thinking mode. Then I'll take a great big sigh so that he knows that I'm relaxing. Now it's okay for him to relax too. Here, he kind of wants to sneak past me, and I just kind of closed that gap a little bit to say, no, I would like you to stay right here. That space that's directly behind me, you can see it's a little bit darker on the ground back there. That is where he gets his dinner. So his dinner's over there, his water is over there, and that's kind of a safety spot for him. It's a little bit of a pacifier for him in these first few sessions. Whenever he gets nervous, he goes straight to that spot of the pen. And that's understandable, and I let him do that sometimes. Like right here, I'm not letting him. I'm just asking him to kind of focus on me. He just saw the barn cat run past. And sometimes I just let him go over there and stay in his comfort zone and work with him where he's at. So here I just want to get up close enough to get a little touch on his nose. And he's doing the same thing that he did in the first two videos. Yeah, because this is session 3, where I get close enough and I bring my hand up and I'm like an inch away from his nose. And then he pulls it away and he's like, no, no, no touching. And this is something that you just have to be patient with. Once I get enough touches in, he's going to realize that it actually feels good to be pet. And right now, he doesn't know that that feels good. He doesn't know whether my hand is going to bite him or try to eat him or give him some sort of pleasure like petting. And so, it takes several sessions before they realize, oh, okay, this actually feels kind of good. I don't need to pull my head away. So I'm just holding my hand here. I'm not pushing anything. I'm just being patient with him. He just took a step back. He's saying, you're just a little bit too close. I need a little space. Maybe I'll try to walk away. And then I just kind of follow him and put pressure on him here. So I'm kind of going towards him. And then when he faces me again, I take the pressure off and I back up. That's how he knows he gave me the right answer, because right now that feels good to him. It didn't feel good when the pressure was on. It felt like a predator was walking after him. And then as soon as he switches into his left brain, instead of panic mode, he starts thinking. And then he turns and faces me and he's like, oh, yeah, that's the right answer. Then I back off for a second and let him know that that's exactly what I wanted. So here I'm trying again to kind of walk in a semicircle around him instead of approaching head on. And I'm hoping that you see how he turns his head towards me. He kind of walks away, and then I ask him, hey, can you come back? I didn't really want you to walk away. And he faces me again, shakes his head a little bit because he's a little frustrated. And then I just kind of relax for a second here and start again. You'll notice here that as I start to move towards him, I'm taking my steps a bit quicker than I did in sessions 1 and 2. And that's because he's more comfortable with me now and he's allowing that. So I'm going ahead and I'm taking it. It's also important to note that when I'm coming towards him, I'm not stepping towards him and reaching out at the same time. It's kind of strange, but um, wild horses, they have a really hard time with that. So when you're coming towards them, you either have to only reach out with your hand or keep your hand down and step closer to them with your feet. And then once you're closer, then bring your hand up again. But if you step closer and reach out at the same time, it's really intimidating for them. So I kind of alternate one or the other. Here, he's just looking for ways to kind of get away from this training session. And I'm just saying, well, can you refocus? Can I get your attention back on me? And I'm not demanding it. There are a lot of trainers that, as soon as the horse looks away, they'll send them cantering around the pen in circles, and the horse is huffing and puffing and worn out. And then finally, they just kind of stand and turn in towards the person because they're worn out. And you'll notice that I never wear him out. There isn't a single time in this entire training series where I wear him out. I'm always just asking him to come and focus on me and be with me instead of running around. And that kind of goes against the traditional dominance theory that a lot of trainers work off of. And the dominance theory is where, in the wild and in herds, you'll see horses push each other around, they move each other. And the alpha or leader horse is the one that is either pushing the others in a different direction where they want them to go, or leading them in the direction of food, water, etc. And so in training, if you use that concept of you're the one who's moving that horse's feet, then they start to see you as the leader. And I trained like that for 30 years. And it works. It absolutely works. And you get a nice little obedient soldier. And with Silvio, that's not what I want. Things are kind of evolving. Training methods are evolving. Our understanding of horses in general is evolving. And so here with Silvio, I am trying to evolve along with that. And instead of pushing him around, saying, you know what, I'm the leader, I'm moving your feet, you do what I say. Instead, I'm just asking him, whenever he tries to leave, I'm not punishing him for saying no or wanting to leave. He's allowed to leave me if he wants to leave, but that's where the value of this facing up exercise comes in. I don't send him out running around. I just ask him, can you please refocus on me again. It is so valuable because now every single time I walk into a pen or a paddock or a pasture where he is, he's going to stop what he's doing and face me. What else could you want? I spent 30 years with horses, training them using the dominance theory, using negative reinforcement. And many of those horses, you'd walk out to the pasture to catch them, and they play all sorts of games to not get caught because they don't want to work with you. And in those cases, a lot of times people label the horse as stubborn or difficult or moody. And in reality, it's just that the way you're working with the horse is not motivation enough for them to want to be with you. And in this first week of training, he's going to try to leave me 100 times. But beyond the first week, that should no longer happen. So here he decides to leave me, and I just follow him and ask him gently to turn around and refocus back on me. And he's like, yeah, all right, lady, but I have to poop. So just give me a second here. And then, of course, he has to turn around and sniff his poop. He has 7 years of experience as a wild stallion, marking his territory with poop and sniffing other horses' poop to find out who's been where. That vehicle that you just saw pass in the background, that is his dinner arriving. And so he's a little concerned with that. He wants to go over there. He puts his butt in his little safety spot over there and he's looking at her. And these little distractions are things that are going to happen all the time with him throughout our life together. And it's my job to teach him and to practice refocusing on me. So there he's looking at her again, and then back to me. I don't want him only listening to me because he feels like there's going to be some sort of punishment if he leaves. See right there? He's looking at her. He's wondering, is my dinner coming? And I just wait. I'm patient with him. And then I ask him to refocus on me again. And then he learns that refocusing on me isn't something to be anxious about. I'm not creating anxiety in him. And there he tries to leave again. And I just walk with him. Can you refocus on me? And he's like, yeah, but my dinner's coming, so I'm losing my patience with you. And then I go back to it, see if I can get a touch. He's leaning back. He's saying, nah. He leaves again. So I kind of follow him and say, come back, please. And this is also building trust because he knows that I'm not going to attack him for leaving, for his attention leaving me. He knows that he can express his needs and his thoughts, and I'm not going to punish him for that. So I'm trying again to approach him, and you can see he's still looking at her out of his left eye. He keeps turning, and he's keeping an eye on her because he really wants that dinner, and I really want to pet him. And so here I go in for a touch again, and he lets me, so then I step away, and I just kind of give him a little break so that he knows that's all I wanted. No big deal. So I'm switching back into time-lapse mode here because I'm just repeating the same things over and over. His attention wanders from me, and then I bring it back, and then it wanders again, and I bring it back. And we just do this over and over. And we're going to lose daylight here pretty quickly. So you're not going to be able to see a lot of the detail of what I'm doing. And so what I'm going to do is just keep this in time lapse until the end. And that way you can get an idea of how long the full training session actually is and how much time I spend with him. Now this training stick that I'm using is just a standard training stick, and I've removed the lash part of it and created my own extension. And the little green ribbons on the end are extremely soft. They're like satiny type ribbons, the kind of ribbons that you might, tie a little kid's hair up with. And so when it touches him, it's really gentle and really soft and enjoyable, even though visually it looks a little bit scary because it blows in the wind. So it's a little bit of a sensory experience using it. And they make ribbon wands where you can buy the stick with a 4 to 5 foot long set of ribbons on the end of it. And I've made myself one of those as well, which I'll use in later sessions. In this one, I'm just using the little short one. It's a lot easier for them to accept it when it's smaller at first. And I don't know, I'm thinking of maybe making these to sell online because they're just really handy tools. And unfortunately, the only ones that are currently available, you have to purchase along with the stick. And that's usually $40 to $50 for one. Most people have training sticks already at home. It might be nice to be able to buy one for maybe $20 and add it to the training stick that you already have. In this part, I'm just showing that at the end of the session, I went back to passive training where I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm just being present with him. I'm not asking anything of him other than to just share space with me peacefully and calmly. It's so important in the beginning and in the end of the sessions to just kind of be present with them like that. I sat with him like this for about 20 minutes or so, and that brings us to the end of session 3 with Silvio the Mustang.